I'm joined by Councilor Driscoll and Councilor Paniagua, and I imagine Councilor Allen's on her way. And the Commissioner of Parks and Recreation is here, and she's going to talk to the items that we want to put on the agenda. So, Commissioner LaFave, why don't you start off?
Thank you. Julie LaFave, Commissioner of Parks and Recreation. So we have 3 items here for you. I will do the first 2, and then I will let Steve Harris, City Arborist, take over on the third one. So hopefully nothing too major here. First is, again, we'd like to introduce a new fee, 2 new fees, and that is because we are trying to increase our programming, come out of the gate from this pandemic really strong in the community and offer a variety of new programming. So one of which we're asking for an intro fee for one-day camps, $5 per participant. We do have something in the works that's quite exciting this summer, but the potential instructor will be bringing in horses, potentially putting a lot into it. So we want to ensure people actually show up instead of making this a free program. But also this could lead us to hosting a variety of other one-day camps. Any questions about that?
Any questions, Councilor Driscoll?
How much did you say the fee?
$5.
Okay. Nope, no questions.
Commissioner, now this will be limited, obviously, because of all the rules and regulations regarding COVID, correct? I mean, that's the reason we're
not really. I mean, we'll always have our free community centers Monday through Friday for drop-in programming. I don't anticipate that will ever change. We already charge $40 for week-long camps for this. So this is just a one-day $5 intro camp. We are bringing in specialty instructors. So I don't think this would specifically be pandemic related.
Okay. When you submit fees, if you could if they're an increase from a former fee, which this isn't, could you make sure you put the former fee in there so we're cognizant that it's an increase in from what fee it was? But this is interesting. Have you decided what park this is going to be at?
So for this specific proposal, and I want to thank Councilor Driscoll for connecting us with this specific one to get it off the ground. This would be a one-day camp, urban horses. Again, I don't name it for this because we want to use this model for a lot of other programs, but specifically right now to get off the gate, urban horses moving across the city each week, different location each week, so that we're serving as much of the city as we can. And I just want to state too that anytime we did increase fees, those forms specifically did show what the fee was and what the new fee is, or proposed.
So Julie, it's $5 per child or per family?
Per participant.
Participant, okay.
Yeah, because we're saying per participant because this could be an adult program in the summer. Intro to Tai Chi or something.
Okay.
So the horses, we got to punch up the title a little bit. I don't know if I like that, urban horses.
Well, she called it Quines for equines. So we're working on that. Yeah,
I sort of like that. Quines.
I sort of do too.
It is. Who came up with that?
She's a retired Syracuse police officer. Again, we're still sorting out the details, but this was the inspiration for, hey, maybe one-day intro camps are a good idea.
Now, obviously, with horses, there'll be other things that you'll have to logistically take care of, if you know what I mean. Okay.
Always. We always cover every logistical issue.
Yeah, well, it's important. When we had the St. Patrick's Day parade, when we inaugurated that, I used to have to sign a Parks Department employee to follow the elephants, Commissioner. So sort of. Go on, Commissioner. Councilor Driscoll.
We all work in local politics. We all know how to dispose of horse.
Absolutely.
Horse dropping.
Giant shovels.
That won't be hard. But Hogan, her name is Officer Julie Jones. She was the beat cop on Westcott for a number of years. She's one of my best friends. Really, really beautiful woman who has been working with horses and doing some stuff with urban environments. But she wants to try to teach the kids how to groom the horses, lead them around, and eventually build up the courage to maybe ride. But this is kind of like a pilot program to see if kids in the Syracuse area would enjoy something like this, and perhaps maybe you know, if they do take to it, we could, you know, consider expanding or building on it if it goes well.
And I just
Yeah.
want to make sure,
Awesome.
oh, go ahead.
Go on. Go
I
on,
want to
Commissioner.
clarify because I don't want the message to come across that Parks is going to try to start charging for everything, because that's not the message. We will continue to be offering free Fight for Hearts, kickboxing, yoga, African dance. All of those things are still free. We're just not talking about them because there's no need to come to council for that. So I just want to make sure that the bigger message isn't, oh, Parks is trying to charge for everything, because it's not. We're just trying to introduce new things that are a little bit off the beaten path, newer that we haven't tried. This one is specifically, you know, it kind of marries to the idea that we're doing 4-H at Kirk Park. We're doing urban gardening. We're doing a lot of these things. So we're trying to bring these new activities in. But for somebody to bring in 20 horses on a weekly basis, we should really kind of need some buy-in from our participants. And I know, and if $5 is too much, we'll always work with people. The Parks Conservancy exists. Like, we can look at options. But so again, I just want to make sure that people don't think Parks Department wants to just charge for everything now.
Do you already have a schedule for the activities? Like at what time do they start and end?
So again, for this one specific, so again, this fee is just kind of for all 1-day camps. For her, she's going to get that fee scheduled to us, or I'm sorry, the schedule of the programming to us. We'll release it when we release all of our camp information, which we hope to do within the next 3 weeks or so.
Okay.
Excellent. Any other questions from the counselors? Are you going to go into the golf tournament fee too?
Yeah, so
Commissioner?
that's the next one too. So again, looking at how we can do new programming, new things. We already have a lot of golf tournaments that exist. However, they're free for our season members. We want to be serving more than people who just buy season membership at the golf course. So we want to have golf tournaments. The first one we're looking at specifically is a night tournament. So the reason there's a fee is because we have to invest in these balls that light up and these other things that light up the greens. So, and we want to have other tournaments down the road for people who aren't just the members of the golf tournament. So $35 for a resident, $60 for a non-resident.
A night tournament. That's interesting.
We have it slated for an August date right now. I expect all of you to sign up.
Okay. Will that be at Burnett or Sunnycrest?
I think right now we're looking at Sunnycrest, but
Okay.
we're still working out the details because I can't go farther until you give me permission.
Okay. Well, it's very interesting. Any questions from my fellow counselors?
No, thank you. No.
Okay. Hearing none, let's go on to the next item.
Okay, you're gonna, in the next few weeks, especially after the budget is hopefully passed, you're gonna get a lot of these enter into contract with people that we partner with for summer programming. So this one is the YMCA. They offer what's called Power Scholars in 2 of our locations. It's a program that really tries to address that summer learning loss, keep kids interested, but also just educational based. They have done this a number of years. Last year was the only year in a while that they haven't done it. So this is just enter into a contract with them for this summer to get back in at Kirk and Schiller. No money,
Okay.
no financial arrangements to this.
Okay. I love it. Any questions from my colleagues? Hearing none. Okay. Should we segue right to Steve?
Yep, I'm going to mute myself and hand it over to him.
Okay, Steve, you're going to talk about invasive species. It's one of my favorite things to talk about, as a matter of fact.
Well, hello, everybody.
Hello,
What I am
Steve.
going to talk about is legislation that we want to bring before council for a bid we put out for Conservation Corps services, community-based tree planting, invasive species management, and natural areas restoration, utilizing the Conservation Corps services model. Hold on, let me close my door. And we put that out to bid. We had one bidder. It was Onondaga Earth Corps. They're also a qualified bidder. And the amount would not exceed 800,000 in a given fiscal year.
Okay, Steve, is this all city money, or is there grant money involved here, or anything like that?
Yes to all questions. So right now, I would use this. I would apply this contract to money we receive from Dormitory Authority for State of New York to
Okay,
do forest restoration at Schiller Park. And then we have to obligate some capital funds for that. But also, we have in our new fiscal year, if the budget that we submitted passes, then we would apply some of the tree planting money to that, some pruning, a whole variety of things. And as new grants come up, we would, where it makes sense, to use them instead of a contractor, we would. We try to very clearly segregate. I always use contractors and never want to put eggs in one basket. So we use a variety of resources to get work done. And this would be one of
Steve,
them.
no, Steve, you have like, obviously, because you're, well, you know, you manage things very well. You have priority projects all lined up if money becomes available for the parks, basically.
I know where we want to, yes.
So, I mean, you have shovel ready, what they would call shovel ready projects.
We do have a lot of those.
Okay, that's good to know. So if there was more money directed towards your particular division, you could manage it pretty well, get it out the door.
The place I think of most is tree planting. And I think with the new hire that is proposed, and if that goes through, we'll have the capacity to handle about 12 to 1,400 trees a year through service requests and street and park tree planting. And we'll have capacity beyond that, but that's the most easy to understand shovel-ready thing we do.
Okay, because obviously all these years and, you know, some of the parks, because of the way things gone as far as priorities go, sometimes, you know, the funding has always been somewhat neglected over the years in different administrations. So that's good to know.
We would be ready to do a lot of park pruning and pocket park management, given the opportunity.
Okay. What, any questions from my colleagues?
I'm all set. I'm good.
Okay, what about you, Councilor Driscoll?
No, that sounds good. But I guess I would wonder, all this work of removing the invasive species, is it concentrated in one certain area? Is this more of what we were talking about with the creek walk type stuff?
Like the creek walk, we have a grad student right now from ESF who is doing projects in 6 different parks, all the big parks. And he's looking at how we can better manage buckthorn. And so we got every corner of the city is impacted by buckthorn.
Yep.
Let alone poison ivy.
Wow.
Well,
Nice.
Now, Steve,
And
just,
sorry, go
ahead,
ahead,
Joe.
Councilor Hogan.
No, Councilor Driscoll, you're on a train of thought there.
I was just going to ask, so with these invasive species, once we remove them and replace them with native species, is there a time frame on that? I mean, you know, I guess I'm just concerned that we spend 800,000 and then 2 years later we're back overflowed with buckthorn. I mean, it doesn't really prohibit us from wanting to do it, but do you have an estimate or knowledge of how long? Some thought that the invasive species won't return and take over again?
So there are 2 questions there. I'll answer invasive species first. Our plan is to plant and manage for 3 years. That's the ideal would be 5, but our goal is to get whatever we plant started to duke it out with whatever grows there. Thereafter, how much we get to it will depend on a variety of things. The contract is about a whole suite of services that a conservation corps could provide, and invasive species management is just one of them. There's also tree planting, tree pruning. We planted 10,000 trees in the last 10 years, trying to make sure we touch each one of those trees 3 times in the next 10 years. So that would be part of it. I mean, that's, you know, extending the life of a capital asset, pruning. So we would make sure we do that too. Erosion control. So we got banks that are just eroding away, we would put in terraces and plant those. It's not just invasive species, so that's important.
Steve, you work closely with those folks in the Onondaga Earth Corps. Do you find like a lot of the kids that serve in the Earth Corps, they come back year after year? Or?
You age out of that program. So there's a youth program, 14 to 17, and young adult, 18 to 25. And people do come back year after year, but there's a lot of change in that program, and some people find it's not for them, but others stick with it. They got some great Corps members over there.
And we have a great bunch of kids from the city that participate, correct?
They're all city right now.
Yeah.
They've
Okay,
every
good.
year they've been all city.
Okay, that's terrific. Terrific to hear. Reason I asked that, I was reading about Red Shane Dinks, who was a great second baseman for the Cardinals, but he was with the Civilian Conservation Corps back in the 30s. I mean, that was a terrific program that President Roosevelt had to get a lot of young men and women out into the wilderness and take care of a lot of our national parks. So it's good to hear that we have something like that going on. So, okay, any other questions from my colleagues? Okay, I appreciate you showing up for a Parks Committee meeting, and we'll have these on the agenda, and you have a good afternoon, everybody. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.